Each spring, the Commonweal emerges from a Minnesota winter to pay tribute to Norway's premier playwright, Henrik Ibsen.
Ibsen Fest is about honoring the father of modern drama, the guy who took storytelling to the level to which we in the modern world have all become accustomed. In fact, this year's play, The Pillars of Society, or as it's sometimes translated, The Pillars of the Community, is a play that still has the elements of the French melodrama. It's one of his first social realism plays, where you truly get the sense of him transitioning out of that 19th century melodramatic tradition and defining the kinds of issues he really wants to address. Hypocrisy, society's desire to canonize people and not look more deeply. Ibsen seemed supremely frustrated with people who were not willing to think for themselves or dig deeply into the facts of a situation. Pillars of Society is built squarely upon Ibsen's desire to have a populace, an electorate, not willing to accept facile answers from demagogues. With the play making those kinds of challenges, you might think there's not much humor to be found. But don't forget, we have Jeffrey Hatcher doing the adaptation.
I would argue that a lot of the original humor in the plays is airlifted one place to another, and I haven't changed it at all. But I probably stoked a bit of it between Karsten and Lona. They seem to enjoy having at each other, and I think that was part of probably the sexual tension or the fun of their affair many years before. So I think that gives us a little bit of leeway, and as always, you look for the things that are inappropriate laughs. Sometimes you can have a big laugh and it's the wrong kind of laugh, and so you have to get rid of it. Such as if somebody dies at the end and the audience just finds that a howl.
The structure of the story, of course, is rather melodramatic. I mean, you have a man sending his rival out to, drown in a ship that's going to crash halfway through the Atlantic Ocean. What Jeffrey has been able to do as a skilled playwright himself is to take that language and make it work for a contemporary ear. He's also been able to bring a great focus to the story, I think. He's brought characters together, he's eliminated some extraneous characters. I think he's made the storytelling much clearer. So for example, Bernick's son in the original is now combined with Bernick's adopted niece, Dina, and it functions very much in the same way. And I think nothing's lost, and I frankly think it has more impact because there's one as opposed to two. Something else that we conflated was Bernick has a sister, Marta. As I recall, when Hal and I were talking about it, different ways to combine, Hal said, well, what if you combined Marta with the secretary? That way, the family firm is still being run by the family, Karsten and his sister Marta, but Marta has taken all of her erotic and romantic energies and put it into paperwork. It creates a different kind of tension, I think, when Marta is involved on a high level. I think that was actually one of the better combos. I was thinking about the Karsten Bernick story and what he goes through. There wasn't any one person in our modern world that came to mind, and I suppose I should say that what I mean is that not just one person came to mind. I think it resonates because I think we've all had that experience of discovering that our idols have feet of clay. I think that's one of the great questions that the play asks as well. How many good deeds does a man have to do before he can wipe the stain of one or two shameful acts? It's always going to be a trap when we try to pigeonhole someone into an absolute model for us, either of absolute good or absolute evil. What's interesting about this story is what happens when one character is suddenly invested by his community to be this role model. Ultimately, the question is, what is he willing to do and what lengths is he willing to go to in order to preserve his image and the power that it gives him?